Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out something called the Aurora Wager. This is a game from the 7-day roguelike jam back from 2013 and it's one that I happened upon pretty much completely by random chance. Essentially it's going to put us in the role of an old-timey gentleman who's apparently got an arch rival who apparently we get into all kinds of hijinks and tomfoolery. In this case though we're going to engage in a race to the North Pole in our hot air balloons. So, you know, pretty typical old-timey gentleman kind of stuff. But what makes this one really interesting is the way it's presented, the fantastic soundtrack, and the really interesting idea about how, essentially, we have very little control in the situation, yet have to make the best of a race to upgrade our balloon and try and stay alive throughout an expedition. Who knows how long it'll take. So we can play either by ourselves as Hebe, or we can bring our friend Fritz. I guess there's some local co-op in here or something like that. I've only played this for a few minutes, by the way, so the details are a little bit sketchy to me, but I think that might make this even a little bit more interesting, honestly. So let's read the letter, and we'll get right into things. So it says, Dear Hebe, I hereby challenge you to a race. First one to plant his flag on the North Pole wins. As usual, we'll use our balloons. Good luck. Regards, Frederick Knuckledorf. He's a real Knuckledorf, that's right, and quite a fancy little sigil he's got for his initials there. Anyway, let's do onward and upwards and get underway. Alright, so we spawned into our usual crazy scenario as each episode of Indie Impressions starts out, and probably used to that by now. We've got some sort of an island here with not a whole lot on it aside from us, a bunch of crates, and of course our trusty hot air balloon, which is not quite inflated at this point. So we're going to take a quick look around, get acclimated, and hopefully take to the skies in fairly short order. So I have actually done the takeoff process before, so I have an okay idea of what's going to go on here, but I love the fact that we're sort of on our own to figure out how this all works. I mean, if there's documentation somewhere, I guess that's a separate thing, but I didn't see any, so a lot of this was just kind of alien to me going into it. And, well, it's not super complicated or anything, but you do have to kind of figure out a couple of things about your balloon, and if you're not someone who's ever ridden in a balloon, such as myself, well, some of these things might not be readily obvious. Okay, so we've got our little platform that's going to let us get up. We've got a door here with a hinge on it. We can open and close it with E. These all seem to operate the same way all the way around. You'll have to just, yeah, I was going to say take my word for it, but then I demonstrated anyway. So let's open up these little compartments downstairs. That one's got nothing in it. This one's got a gas canister. We have to use Q to pick that up and Q to drop that down. This one with the lock in here says fuel compartment on it, so this is where our fuel canister is going to go, and it'll kind of just like hook itself up automatically, thank goodness. And then over here, we've got a proud flag, of course, that's what we're going to put in for our goal, and a compass, which of course we want to mount somewhere where we're going to be doing some looking over at the world around us. Probably a good place to put it would be right here. Just since, well, we can see all of our fuel gauge and our vertical speed gauge and our balloon temperature gauge, all pretty roughly around where we see that. Now, the big question that I had, aside from what to do with that, because that's actually not super complicated or confusing. Oh, I guess I could put it over here as well. Oh, you know what? I can put it up in an angle. I didn't even notice that before. I'd rather put it over here where I can see it a little bit more easily. So the other question was, what do I do about these boxes? Is there a point to these boxes? Do they have anything in them? Do I use them as ballast? Because I don't really know how flying a hot air balloon works. Do I need to make sure that I have, like, you know, extra boxes that I can chuck out of my balloon in case I end up in a position where I want to fly higher or not? I don't know. So, you know, I guess we could, like, put one of those in here. Is that... Oh, it actually kind of springs it down into position. Isn't that adorable? Alright, so let's get our, whatever this coupler is, our small burner, and we'll slot that into place, and maybe we could actually take off in short order here. So that's our pressure release valve. That lets us go down. This is our small burner. This lets us go up. By holding E, we can actually start burning some fuel, which, as you'll see, will raise the balloon into position and cause our balloon temperature gauge to rise, as well as our fuel gauge, of course, to dissipate, as you might expect. Shouldn't take a whole lot for us to get off the ground here, but I just want to make sure we've burned up just enough that we don't end up soaring off into the sky, and not so little that we just don't move. So I guess we got to find a nice medium balance here. Just kind of watching the ground, seeing if we take off. Can I kind of like bump into... Oh yeah, we actually do seem to be off the ground. Not by much, but we are off. I wonder, too, like, how much it affects things to have this box in here. Actually, it might be a bad idea, maybe. Oh, there's actually... Almost missed this, our proud flag. We got a secondary flag just in case. And in the event that maybe the balloon gets away from us, I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do about that situation, because I'm not really aware of a way that I can get back to it once it's passed me over. Can you please just go in there? That's not quite right, but you know what? I'll leave it, because that's kind of quaint. Alright, so let's start the burning again. And you'll see very quickly, once we get off the ground, the scope of the world that we're in is much larger than you might expect at first. I don't know if I should maybe be exploring more before I take off, just in case there's anything else going on over here. Should I not have this? Maybe this is... Oh, no. Oh, no! What did I say? Oh, crap. Alright, well, let's give it a second. Let's hope that I didn't give it enough juice. Maybe it was just colliding with this freaking helpful plateau. Some help this plateau provided. Freaking my house is just disappearing. Going off into the world of up. This is supposed to be my climactic moment, man. Oh, that's very rude. I don't know that it's going to necessarily come back down. I think it might be caught adrift in the world of currents and jet streams of air. I mean, I guess I should probably chase after it. Oh, I can run also. I didn't realize that. Just in case it does happen to touch down. I mean, I haven't given it any fuel in a while, so I'm not sure how long it takes for the air to cool enough that it'll dissipate and fall again. Kind of not getting the impression that's going to happen, though. Freaking balloon. I had this all figured out. Oh, well, yeah, there's the world. We're supposed to see that from up there. Oh, well, what can you do? Alright, well, I'll reboot then, and we'll come back when we're ready to go. And hopefully we won't botch the second takeoff like I did with this one. Bye, balloon house! And we're back, and I've just started fueling up the balloon. This is the first, or second rather, jet of hot air that we've pumped into it. Hopefully without that freaking helpful plateau, we should be able to get off the ground fairly easily. That's what I'm hoping anyway. We'll see. We'll see if things go more smoothly this time. Pretty trusting that they will. That was just particularly bad luck. Do I need to, like, bump it a little bit to get it to take off? I don't know what really causes us to really get underway here. I guess that's not quite it yet. Now, if I'm being careful, there's probably some kind of critical mass number that I'm supposed to look for in the vertical speed gauge or balloon temperature. Maybe it reaches a certain point that's like the, you know, the melting point, but in reverse for air. I know what I just said made no sense, but you know what I mean, I hope. Where things just all of a sudden take off. Okay, that's a lot of air we're pumping in. Temperature's getting a little warm. You want to take off now, maybe? Ah, there we go. Kind of just bump into the railing. There's got to be, like, something colliding happening there to stop that from being that way. So I guess now we're just going to have a look out and watch the world pass us by for a moment and start to get our bearings and watch where the air current is taking us. And hopefully we can try and direct ourselves in, well, in any direction that would be useful. I'm not really sure where that would be, but it looks like maybe we're going to be heading this way. So to the east. I don't know how to read a compass. Is the red needle or the gray needle the one that's actually up and down? I mean, I know how to read a compass, but I don't know how to read this compass. I think it's the red needle, right? Is that what direction we're facing? Alright, fair enough. So, I guess that means we're going to be heading toward that island over there in the hopes that maybe we'll land on it, do a little bit of exploring, and maybe upgrade something. Because that's essentially how I was able to figure out this works. If you're very lucky to land in places that seem to have useful items in them, you might be able to upgrade your balloon to get a little bit further away from everything. And, well, our goal here is just to get to the North Pole. How you get there, I'm not entirely sure of yet. But I think that's part of the mystique of this particular expedition that we're going on. We get to learn that all just the same way as we got to learn how to do a takeoff with a freaking balloon. Which, you know, we botched. But, you know, that's part of the fun. You learn, you get better. I can't actually tell if we're moving very much. Unfortunately, the position that I'm in, like, I can't really see below me very well for a point of reference. I was always tempted to do a little bit of this, but, like, this is basically the very last thing you want to do on a balloon. I don't have a parachute or any kind of, like, air diving kit, so this could all go terribly, terribly wrong. Even if I just decide to clip through the polygons there and just fall, that would be a big problem for me. That's how my first flight went before the one that I had recorded there. I essentially got up in the air and then went to take a look and flew out. And then I got to ponder a whole new set of sequences and events where essentially I was like, so, well, I've got a little while before I die. Let's think about how this is going to play out. So I'm falling to my death. I can see my balloon behind me flying away to who knows where. And now I've got to ponder, well, I have enough air control to decide if I want to land on this island. And maybe my loved ones and relatives can eventually find my body. Or I could decide to land, you know, in the ocean, presumably, because, I mean, it's just all gray. I don't think it's actually the ocean. I think there's actually just land under all of this smoke covering, but we'll say it's the ocean. And obviously nothing will ever find me there, but I guess, you know, what you're going to be conscious for 1 second of that. Which would you rather hit? You could land on top of a mountain. You could land on a flat plain. You could land in the ocean. You know, you get to choose your own fate in a way, in that, well... in that way. You don't get to choose that you get back onto the balloon at that point. And I think this expedition might actually take quite a while, which again is another kind of simulatory bit that I don't see a lot of people do things like, which I kind of have to respect the developers for going in this direction. I think a lot of people want instant gratification, and the fact that you've got to actually settle in for this quote-unquote race, I don't know, there's something kind of cool about that. Especially if you have a friend, you could just kind of like hang out up here and toss boxes back and forth or whatever. Maybe not, I mean, given how ballast seems to work. So our vertical speed gauge is not going very fast. I don't even know how to read this, honestly. Balloon temperature gauge, almost medium, and fuel gauge is looking very plump and juicy. So why don't we let out some pressure here and see where that puts us, or what that even does, honestly. I mean, I know what it does, but to what degree it really does affect things, I haven't quite seen yet. Should make a mod for this where you get to play as the old guy from Up. You get to carry your sweet house on balloons and try and land in, I forget wherever you tried to land in. Can I get a look out of here? Oh, it's a very round-looking island. Big gear mount. I don't know what that is. They want me to mount things on the sides of my balloon. I don't know where I would get these items. Well, I guess I've got to find them on these islands, huh? I feel very, very high up in the air. Let's let out some more air. And what's our vertical speed gauge? Yeah, it seems to be going down pretty quickly. Oh, goodness, that seems very, very... Well, I don't know if this is just velocity, though. That's not measuring how high I am. So maybe just if I increase the pressure being released by quite a bit, this will go very high because it means that we're increasing in vertical speed, whether that is horizontal, or that is horizontally is what I was going to say, whether that is vertically in the up or down position. So now if I turn back to that gauge, I'm going to presume we're probably dropping fairly quickly. Or maybe not. Where am I? I have no idea. I wish there was a map, actually. That'd be kind of handy. The fact that this was included in a roguelike game jam makes me wonder, too, are these islands somewhat randomly generated where they show up? Because that would be kind of interesting as well. You gotta find the right air currents to take you to where you want to go, and then you don't know every single time you play it, so it's going to be its own little Kerbal Space Program adventure, only with a little bit less customizability. I could see this being really appealing to a lot of people, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if I'm necessarily the right audience for this, but I appreciate it. I mean, in a lot more of a way than, like, Sunless Sea, and I don't want to get negative here or anything, but I feel like this has a bit more of a visceral bite than Sunless Sea. I mean, as much as I do respect their storytelling ability, which was quite good, from what I could tell for people who are engaged in it, this just kind of leaves it up to your own imagination. And it's the kind of game that shows instead of tells, and I like creating my own story for the most part. But, you know, people like different things, and that's totally fine. I feel like I'm stuck up in the air here for the rest of my life. I was like, just let pressure out. We're not going down, though. Not at any appreciable speed, it seems. Maybe if I just hop up and down inside of this balloon, we'll eventually be able to cause it to sink faster. That's how gravity works, right? How much can this freaking balloon sustain itself without any new fuel being burned? Alright, so rule number one, if you attempt this, don't go this high in the air. you're gonna have a bad time. Oh, the music showed up. Freaking love the soundtrack. This is so pretty. Alright, I think we want to land on this island right here, because there looks like there's bits everywhere. Are we gonna fall? Looks like we are. Oh yeah, we're going way down. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention, too, about the falling element. There isn't actually fall damage or death in this, so you can actually jump out of the balloon at any altitude, and it won't actually kill you. So I was both relieved, but also slightly disappointed, because it was actually quite an epic moment watching my life flash before my eyes as I fall to my death, only to realize I don't actually die. Alright, so we're gonna land in the smoke, it looks like. Can we just burn a tiny bit, just kind of like carry us up and over this mountain? I don't know if we can make such granular changes. Ah, we're landing in the smoke. I don't want to land in the smoke. I can't see anything. Oh, no. Oh, no. What happened here? I guess we're not allowed to do what I just did. Okay, so it's not actually the ocean, but it is smoke, and it is enough to make us hate Frederick, because it appears that our journey has come to an end. We're shown an empty piece of wood with a button that says, I hate you, Frederick, and that's all we can do is hate him and quit the game. So I guess I've lost the Aurora wager, unfortunately. Oddly enough, as much as there's so little going on in this, I'm surprisingly charmed by the idea enough that I kind of want to keep attempting this to see if I can get somewhere further. It's a good premise. It's a pretty solid idea. And the developers are working on a different game right now that I can't recall the title of, but they said that there is a chance that maybe in the future they could return to it. Oh, it's called Volo. Which is apparently like some kind of skydiving sim. So it's right in their wheelhouse if they want to maybe integrate those two concepts together. And maybe you could set it up so you jump out of the balloon and then you could hang glide down to things and somehow get back up to the balloon and keep flying. I don't know. It's become a pretty wild project in my head, but I like what it is right now just for what it is as it is. So you should definitely check this out. I'm curious to hear what your opinions are of this too, because it's certainly out of the box and nothing that I've really seen before, ever attempted. You know, first-person balloon simulation with a bet on the line, I suppose. So leave me a comment, let me know what you think about it in general. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like on it. I do appreciate those very much. I do read all the comments still. And be sure to check back again tomorrow. There will be another episode of Indie Impressions as always. New episodes go up every single day. Look forward to bringing you another one then. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you back again tomorrow. Later, everybody.